channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this super cute 3D design gingerbread man as part of my Winter Wonderland collection. So I am starting out today with this double rhythm clear sculpting gel. I really like the consistency of this. I just recently got it not too long ago, and honestly it's like the least sticky one that I've discovered so far. So I'm just taking a flat silicone molding tool and just making a little ball with this first piece here. I'm going to make 2 little balls. That's all you need for this design to complete it. So I'm just gonna get these as circular and perfect looking as possible. I'm going to grab this first one right here. It's a little sticky to my little palette because I have some scratches in my palette and the gel kind of gets stuck in the cracks, but I just end up using my finger because it's just easier sometimes. I put this bead right at the top in the center, and I'm just going to take the flat tool that I have and just push it down straight down. If you do it super straight, then the circle will be a super perfect looking circle, versus if you're putting too much pressure to one side or the other, sometimes it can get a little wonky looking. But after curing that one, I'm going to take my second ball, which I also struggled with a little bit. It got a little stuck to my palette again. Just reforming it to make it as circular as possible. Taking that little ball, putting it right underneath the first one. I'm going to press that one flat as well in a circular shape. Then I'm going to go in and just kind of start forming the basic shape of the gingerbread man's arms and legs. And this is going to look kind of crazy and not really like a gingerbread man for a little bit until we kind of flatten it back out. So I'm pushing down and then reforming the arms and the legs. And I'm just kind of continuing to do this until I'm happy with the shape. It does take a little bit to get the shape of the body kind of the way that you want it. You just kind of have to play around with it. The nice thing is that this 3D gel is really forgiving, and it also doesn't air dry, so you can play with it and restart and redo it and change it over and over and over, and it doesn't matter as long as you don't put it in the lamp. So I played with the shape of this gingerbread man on this one specifically for so long. I've made so many of these little gingerbread man nails this past couple weeks, and I just feel like the one time I go to film my process is always the time I struggle the most. Like, look at the arms. The arms are all wonky and crooked, and I just, you sometimes it just doesn't cooperate with you. But eventually I get there. So just still forming, still shaping, making sure that there's like visible gap, because once you put the polish on top of it to color it, it kind of blends together a little bit. So you want to try to make as much definition as possible before you cure it the first time, so that you can make sure that the little gingerbread man, looks his best self. Just continuing to form it and shape it. Now I'm patting it down to make sure that there aren't any bumps or anything like that. It is kind of hard to see sometimes with the clear molding gels. It's hard to see if there is like bumps and stuff in it. And if it's like all flat and even, which is what you want. Obviously you want it to be flat and even. Sometimes it's hard, but if you flatten it out at the end, it usually works well. Next, we are going to cure that, right? And then we're going to go in with this really pretty jelly, like syrup brown. I didn't want to do an opaque brown just because I really liked the way that the syrupy brown looked on here. I feel like it gave me a better color of a gingerbread man than an opaque one did. And yeah, so I just putting this all over the nail with the big brush that comes in the polish. And then I am going to go in with my little 5mm brush. So it's really small, it's really short, it's a teeny tiny. It was super great for details. And I'm just gonna even this out. If you've used jelly or syrup polishes before, you know sometimes they kind of clump up together in weird ways, and it doesn't always self-level the way that other polishes do. And it's more noticeable, obviously, because they aren't opaque. But I'm just looking around all around the nail, make sure that it's all even and nice and that all the edges are covered before I stick it in the lamp for the next step. So after we cure that guy, I am going to go with my little 5mm brush again for those small details. I'm getting some white polish on there, and I am just gonna draw on those little icing, I don't really know what you would call them, but like the little icing parts that are on the legs and arms of gingerbread men. So I'm just coming on there and I'm just drawing those on. And these by no means have to be perfect looking, because I can't, tell me if you make a perfect looking gingerbread icing, because I never have been able to. They always look a little bit crazy. So I'm just putting these on here and just like a little squiggly pattern on all 4 limbs. And then just making sure that they look as even as possible. Next, I'm gonna go in with my dotting tool. With the one, like I chose one that has a relatively small tip at the end. I'm gonna put on his 2 little eyes, and then I am also going to put on 3 little buttons down his torso. I don't really like the way that these eyes turned out, so I'm just gonna wipe them off with some isopropyl alcohol on a lint-free wipe, and then I'm going to redo his eyes because they looked a little wonky, they looked a little uneven and way too big. So I'm gonna go in with my dotting tool again and some black polish, and I'm just going to put on his 2 little eyes again. Much better the second time round. And then I'm just looking at it at this point. I'm just looking at it, make sure all the buttons are even, make sure he's looking his best. I'm gonna cure that, and then after I cure that, we're going in with top coat. This 3D gel is not a non-wipe, so even if I had left it clear, I still would have had to put top gel on it. I know that there are some out there that are non-wipe, which are awesome, but I actually really like the way that top coat kind of makes everything smooth out and blend together a little bit. So making sure it's getting in all the cracks and crevices, making sure that I'm covering the entire design and the entire nail. And this is the final product. I really like this design. It's not super thick and bulky like a lot of 3D designs are. But yeah, make sure you come back for part 3, the last part.